time, doesn't it fly? 6:37.
Let's bring you up to date with the rest of, well, in fact, the front pages of the newspapers, starting with the Mail. It's revealing the health service spends £400,000 a day on private ambulances and taxis for patients. They've done a huge number of FOIs, and we'll get into those a little bit later on.
Yeah, well, that's not because they're just sort of squandering money. That's because they haven't got their own ambulances and transport systems. All these headlines seem more shocking than they actually are. And we spend this on agency nurses. Well, because you won't pay pensions and holidays for staff nurses, that's why. Let's go to the Mirror.
Here's the Mirror. It's leading with the missing mum, Nicola Bulley. Images taken by a doorbell camera at home are released. That was just 1 hour before she vanished.
The Times. It goes with delusional trusts, who they say will cost votes as the Prime Minister's allies hid out, as the former Prime Minister plots a return, would you believe?
And the Star say the beast from the east will return, which will leave Britain colder than the Arctic. I'm surprised there wasn't a lettuce on the front there. Let's go to the former editor of the Star, Dawn. No, I just thought if Liz Truss is making a comeback, we might see the lettuce making a comeback as well.
I think you might. It's been in the freezer. So it's been in the link between lettuce.
I see what you did.
What about Liz Truss? What's she playing at?
Golly gosh. Well, let's go for the front page of the Times, shall we? Delusional Truss will cost votes Tories. True. I mean, she gave a 4,000-word interview yesterday to another newspaper, and she was only in power for 49 days. That meant she managed to get 81 words for every single day she was in power. She is actually saying that she wasn't given a realistic chance as Prime Minister to implement her economic plan, you know, the one that caused all the trouble we're currently in. And she feels like she was sabotaged. And she's openly criticised Rishi Sunak's work as Chancellor, saying that the corporation tax increase is going to destroy the economy and putting people off investing. You know what? Can we just stop arguing on both sides? The political parties they're just tearing each other apart, aren't they? And all I think voters want is just a political party just to be serious politicians and get us out of the mess we're in, rather than this infighting, childish squabbling.
Sean, tell us what you want, what you really, really want.
I think if I said what I really want, I'll get us taken off the air. I'll get us all in trouble. I think it depends, Don. I get what you're saying. You want people want politicians to just kind of get on with work and get things done. I think it depends which colour your tie is. I think Labour supporters will be delighted to see this continuation of, it's like a sort of internal obliteration, throwing themselves into this chasm of absolute chaos, and I mean, I welcome it. I like to see it. I do have to admire Liz Truss's, I don't know what you'd call it, how bold she's been, and the fact that she's criticising anybody after the absolute...
Her unembarrassability.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I could be doing with that, especially the day after a heavy night out or something, when I'm kind of reflecting on my bad behaviour. I'll think if Liz Truss is, not bad behaviour, but let's just say, thinking of maybe been upsetting a few people with a few drinks on me, but in all seriousness, I think the fact that she's completely unembarrassable, you could not paint a red neck on her.
Don't you need that? You need a really thick skin to be in politics. And,
Yeah,
and the thing I find, Sean, is like, you know, this isn't even a political point. The Labour Party aren't exactly unified either, are they? I mean, it's sort of like, you know, Keir Starmer trying to be as centrist as possible, with the left hissing and saying that's wrong, and it's so both parties, I feel as a voter, are completely tearing themselves apart internally. I just want them to sort the NHS out, to be honest.
I wonder if there is an argument to be made for when a Prime Minister leaves office that actually they should leave the party, or at least frontline politics. It wouldn't happen in a big organisation, would it? If your CEO goes,
absolutely.
you don't then have not just one, but two, but three former CEOs in the company all chipping in with their advice. You can't function like that, surely. No. So maybe that needs to change.
Let's talk, Sean, about the awful situation of Nicola Bulley, missing now since over 10 days now. Yeah,
absolutely horrendous. Her friends have released CCTV footage just before her disappearance. The story is a very multifaceted one. Some of the things that I've picked up on, the police are talking about crackpot theories that are adding to the distress of our loved ones. You know, people turning up and clairvoyants and psychics and people basically for their own interests, so they've been told they're not welcome. It's just, I mean, first and foremost, a horrendous situation, a horrendous story, completely incomprehensible what these people must be going through. The police have pretty much said that they think she's fallen into the river. We've got a former detective, Martin Underhill, and he said he's very concerned by that, because he said if it was an attack, it could have taken place in seconds. There's a lot of things that don't add up, and the police are boxing themselves into a corner with their theory, because, you know, I read, or I saw that, oh, she's fallen in, and I didn't switch off to the story, but I thought, okay, that's it, concluded. People could maybe...
I think it's very curious that the family have actually issued their own statement saying the police have no evidence, and it's very rare for a family to do that.
Yeah.
And there is no evidence, and that's the thing. And I did, and Nicola, thankfully, is on most of the front pages today, because it's so important that, you know, everybody does their bit to try and find out what happened and reunite with her two little girls.
I do think the police could have done more to keep the public informed of what they were up to, because I think where there is a vacuum of information, people do speculate. I mean, just amongst friends, everyone's been saying to me, what do you think happened? Lots of people saying, do you think it was her partner? Terrible speculation, but statistically, most people end up being hurt by the partner. If they had come out like a family member did over the weekend, or I think a friend, with these bullet points of detail saying, actually, he works from home, the CCTV, he's been ruled out. Why didn't the police just say that? Because it then, you know, it doesn't fill that vacuum with speculation and people sort of casting aspersions, which are also hugely hurtful to the family. So I think there will be questions about the way the police...
Absolutely. I mean, I think the police have really dropped the ball in this one. Yeah, awful.
Dawn, another NHS strike today. This is front page of the Telegraph.
It's funny, because Sean and I were sitting before we came on. It's like trying to find a headline and then the word crisis. It's not easy. Well, yeah, obviously, this is the NHS strike today, and this is an interview with our General Sir Gordon Messenger, who is a former General of the Marines, led the invasion of Iraq. He's reviewing leadership of the health service at the moment and suggests that there are supermarkets and banks that are run better. I've had bars that have been run better than this, to be honest with you. And he's suggesting that basically, yes, obviously, it does need more money, it does need more staff, but the organisation also needs reorganising so that people are motivated, that they want to, you know, really want to work there, so they have pride in their job. And, you know, there is so, you know, when you've got managers, I know this is an old cliche now, but when you've got managers on £200,000 who are quite clearly not doing a very good job, and we're struggling to pay nurses and junior doctors, and we still have nurses paying their parking fees. I mean, it's just insane the way it is run. So basically saying it needs an overhaul. We need to look at the whole thing. You can't just throw money at it and hope the problem will go away, because it won't.
And The Guardian is saying that we need to look at the way police officers are enrolled into various forces, Sean.
Yeah, the Inspector of Constabulary, Matt Parr, he's outlined a few issues, one being a real problem with misogyny. He said that most, if not all, serving female police officers had to endure sexual assault or inappropriate behaviour from fellow officers, which is horrendous. That's an internal thing. In terms of police officers coming into the ranks, there are police officers with convictions and close links to criminals, among hundreds that have been recruited since 2020. It's just, I mean, come on. If anybody's going to be doing their due diligence, is it not the police?
What sort of vetting process are they doing? People with criminal records. I mean, you try applying for a job in any public authority, and you've got a criminal record, they go into it with a fine-tooth comb, but the police are getting away with it.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to go to the break. More from Dawn and Sean after that, including Prince Harry's romps in a field.
Oh, come on, we all need a giggle. I think this is great. Antidote to all the crises left, right and centre.
And we've got the Health Minister, Maria Coffey. A lot to come right after this. Don't go away.